Oh, hi! It appears you've caught me in my very real and very punctual everyday patrol pattern of going to every destination and just killing as the Vanguard needs me to do. Do you want to join me? Or would you rather we sit here and bask in the world around us as I talk to you solemnly about why I like this very interesting title of a game franchise to the point you get just absolutely tired of me? Excellent! Destiny's just one of those games that you see on the shelf of the now lifeless corpse at its GameStop, and you wonder, oh, what's this then? As you grab it, and for a brief second, you see a towering monster over you as you hold a very sci-fi looking gun while someone yells, DPS, or Hero Moment, baby, just beside your face, wearing the most horrendous armor set, while someone else yells, Reloading div, or We should have cheesed it. Clearly things that anyone has ever played this game have ever known and will forever know. Or maybe you're normal. I don't know, I don't make the rules. Oh wait, yes I do. This is my video after all. So yes, I do know. But besides that, Destiny isn't just a game. And I don't mean like how Cyberpunk isn't just a game, as you then proceed to absolutely dogpile on your unsuspecting victim in the most blatant pee-pee sucking of Keanu Reeves, as you veer off to talk about John Wick or The Matrix. You Andrew trait praising alpha thinking butts. No, I mean, Destiny isn't just a game, because it has more than just players playing games. It has more than just people doing raids or hitting up LFG for people without Galahorns to get told no. It's more than just another game. As much as this sounds cheesy, Destiny is not just a game, but a community of gamers, flaws and all. So let me show you why this franchise is to me, as the title says. Like most gamers, I bought this game off the shelf of a dying GameStop. No, really, the GameStop was leaving the mall in like a month, and they had a bunch of games on clearance. But that's not where I met the game first. Back when I first got my PlayStation 4, the original one with 500 gigabytes, I bought a handful of games to go along with it. Included, but not limited to, Minecraft, the PlayStation 4 edition of course, Transformers Rise of the Darkspark, Call of Duty Ghost, Tales from the Borderlands, Fallout 4, and eventually Overwatch. Yeah, I know, I played like 2 or 3 games. At the time, however, I was in my church's youth group, and within it was a guy. Let's call him Jim. Jim told me, since I had a PlayStation 4 now, to get the game Destiny. This was back in 2014 and 15, so Destiny was pretty much fresh on the minds of such people like Mylan Games, FNF1997, Datto, Astacross maybe. Heck, even the Marco Styles Raider probably. Or maybe even someone like Cactus HD. Also, I know Marco Style played Division at the time, don't at me. So being a naive and unaware child, I asked my mom for some money for the game. She asked me to do like a few chores and get a good grade. And in the end, we went to buy it. Let me tell you, when I say the box was worn, it was worn. Like, it had partial scratches on the surface and everything. It wasn't a new game. Like, someone played it, then returned it. Apparently they didn't like it. Little did I know what I was signing my life away to at the time. I played the game as intended. No prior updates or anything. Well, maybe besides like a patch or two. With the story being equally fascinating. Disclaimer. This is in no way a fully comprehensive telling of the entirety of the franchise of Destiny, which is associated directly to Bungie. If you want a much greater retelling, I suggest going to My Name Is By for Mylan Games, or to any lore YouTuber for that information. This video is about why I love this franchise, not what the story is truly about. You have been warned. So don't come into my comment section saying stuff like, oh, he didn't talk about this very specific gun that just got nerfed and removed from the game. And I'm not gonna go into that deep of like lore telling. So with that said, here we go. You are the Guardian, a noble warrior picked from death by a ghost, who was voiced by Peter Dinklage and then later Nolan North, to fight for humanity and its allies on the front against the darkness. Armed with your light and a variety of powerful weapons and abilities, you must navigate treacherous terrain, battle fierce enemies, and ultimately face off against the forces of darkness in a desperate bid to save the last city, and all that is left of civilization. But even as you fight, you begin to realize that the line between light and dark may not be as clear as you once thought, and that the true battle may be the one within yourself as you struggle to balance your duty as a guardian with your own desires and needs. You first wake up in the Cosmodrome, a barren land of old Russia, where you make your way with your ghost as your guide to a jump ship that takes you to the last city, the final haven of humanity, and the very gem of what makes humanity still work, the Traveler, the very reason you are here. The Traveler provides light to you for regenerative abilities, to stay alive, and overall fight. Your main section of operations is the tower, where all guardians go to meet with their mentors, receive assignments, and interact with other players. Speaking of mentors, meet the Vanguard. In this iteration of the game, we have Kate Six, the notorious hunter Vanguard, Ikora Rey, the infamous warlock Vanguard, whom also leads the Hidden, and Commander Zavala, the Starwalt Titan Vanguard, and the de facto leader of the last city's defense. Together, they form the Vanguard, as you just saw. Well, also, you get to pick one of the three classes, Hunter, Titan, and Warlock, along with one of the three light elements, and a myriad of weapons which include, but are not limited to, hand cannons, auto rifles, shotguns, sniper rifles, machine guns, and swords, along with many more as the game progressed, which includes of exotic rarity. With the dubious help of the Vanguard, and the aid of your fellow Guardians, you will face down some of the greatest challenges the galaxy has ever known. When you're done gearing up, chatting up with the myriad of characters in the tower, and learning a few things, you can get down to business. Returning to the Cosmodrome, you face the Fallen, an insect-like species that came from outside of Sol to take back the Traveler, as it apparently blessed them first. One characteristic of them is their 4 arms and super agile bodies, along with the fact that they lay eggs. Once you're done dealing with their House of Devils, you head to the moon and confront the Hive, a parasitic species that turns moons into war machines and breaks systems. They're led by deities of sorts called Hive Gods, such as Oryx, Savathun, and Xivu Arath. Once you deal with them there, you quickly travel to Venus and learn of the Ishtar Collective, and the invasive species there, the Vex. Mostly a liquid called Radiolaria, the Vex are a robotic species that came from a different dimension with the intentions of keeping themselves alive by making themselves into the final variable of the universe, essentially being the default thing you can be. Once done with them, we travel to Mars thanks to a weird lady that's been eyeballing us for a bit, precisely since we first woke up, and we make our way to the Cabal, a guerrilla force that once is dead. They also come from space. They look like turtles and junk. Once on Mars, we do a few missions before we end up in the Black Garden, a Vex installation, and kill the darkness within. But the adventure is not over. With 2 expansions, a full 2 DLCs, and a few hundred events such as Strike Playlist, Nightfalls, Crucibles with Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris, secret missions and raids, you've yet to see all of Destiny. And even when you have, even after completing everything with Destiny 1, you get more with Destiny 2. An even bigger expansion with more guns. A bit of the same enemies, but changes up a bit. More planets to visit, though a few of the old ones, and a whole bunch more things. Currently, at the time of me writing this script, we've saved the last city from the Cabal, saved Osiris from the Infinite Forest, helped Ennebrae save Rasputin, avenged Kate 6 in the Forsaken expansion, forged weapons in Season of the Forge, done Gambit and Gambit Prime in Joker's Wild. That's a new game mode, Gambit, by the way. Have cleared out Hive and more in the Leviathan and its lair, along with more Cabal and Opulence. Then we went back to the moon and defeat the Hive again, but this time they are colored red, and also the tragic events that have unfolded up to this point in the shape of nightmares that literally try to kill you. Have Vex come into the moon, and we go to their planet and fight them, which is a whole different galaxy and everything in Season of Undying. Also, Ikoro's there. Rescued the legendary Titan Sate 14 and did more Cabal and Vex stuff in Season of Dawn. Helped Rasputin help us by making missiles and cleaning his rooms on Earth, the moon and Io to destroy the sun killer the Cabal used at the start of the Red War, encountered the pyramid ships in a more direct manner for the first time in Season of Arrivals, then got a much more closer look at the darkness with Stasis when we went to Europa and Beyond Light, hunted down the enemies in Season of the Hunt with the freshly revived Uldren Sov, now called Crow, gained a very formidable ally in the Cabal with the Empress Keitel in Season of the Chosen, made another ally with the Fallen, now called the Elixni in Season of the Splicer, where we also fought the Vex, got more information on Savathun and her plans in Season of the Lost, later confronting and killing her in the Witch Queen expansion, fighting Emperor Callus once more in the Leviathan as he fought to gain a foothold on the Lunar Pyramid in Season of the Haunted, fought alongside the Killer of Light Mistrex as a pirate in the Season of Plunder, rescued once more from the events of the Arrivals Rasputin in Season of the Seraph, which I got the title in the game without realizing, then topping it off with fighting Callus in Lightfall towards the end. This game has been through a lot. In fact, writing this script was almost impossible, because I wasn't sure what I was going to say in this part. I've been playing Destiny 1 since year 1 and all the way now Destiny 2 year 6 and everything in between. I've experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's all you need to know when thinking of whether you love someone or not. I used to have the worst hand-eye coordination when it came to games. The first time I ever played a first-person shooter was in a neighbor's house, and it was to play one of the many COD or Battlefield games in PlayStation 3. I recall it was a PlayStation because of the joysticks being level on the console layout, but nothing before. It wasn't until I got the PlayStation 4 and Call of Duty, along with Fallout 4 and Overwatch, that I mastered the art of move with left, aim with right, pull trigger to shoot. The usual game shenanigans. So I was not unfamiliar when I got into Destiny, besides the tutorial on reaction time, aiming down sights, and all those buzzwords used by gamers, so I can say that a lot of Destiny is just plain good. From the hidden lore to the expansive, yet restricted world, Destiny is outright a masterpiece when it comes to FPS and MMO. In my opinion, each destination has an aesthetic that, though disconnected, matches the last in a concise manner. From the ruins of old Russia to the destroyed space station on the moon, to the wrecked greenscape of the EDZ, to the fragment parts of Dreaming City, and even when it doesn't match, it works in conjunction and makes something new out of something already there. And when combined with the enemies, the events, the missions, the raids, and more, the nature of it all just instantly strikes and makes it all work. Speaking of missions, Destiny 1 had one of the greatest features when it comes to people like myself that like replaying stories over and over. That being replayable missions. I wish that stuck with the game in Destiny 2, because a lot of the missions in-game are so nice to just play throughout and try to notice things you did not before, such as details in the Cosmodrome, puddles on Venus, random things on Io, statues on Mercury, and a lot more. And the gunplay, though unrealistic, gives me a sense of fulfillment, since the guns are so unique and interesting. From the more basic commons to the exotics, each one feels unique, different, and overall interesting. A great example was back in Destiny 1, just when they implemented weapon reforging, the 55A All Fate was the first ever legendary weapon I obtained and was memorable. I am planning one day on commissioning someone to make it for me. If not, someone is planning in the future to make it without any questions, in which case you are the realist. Besides that, the few exotics I did manage to get in-game that weren't quest-driven was also something that I found a lot of value on, which includes, if I am right, the original Gjallarhorn during Year 2 of Destiny, Plan C, Hawkmoon, Sorrow's Regime, Heartlight, Mida Multitool, and a few more that if I have time I'll share screenshots here. And if not the gunplay, the abilities. I can't say much for Destiny 1 when it comes to this, but I am 100% with the idea of Warlock's self-revive when it was not too OP in Crucible or Trials, but in Destiny 2, well, let's just say I have a loadout for Arc, Solar, Void, Void but better, and Strand. I never got into Stasis like everyone else. I just kind of, did my thing. I used it every now and then, almost have all the things associated with it. I'm missing like 2 aspects, but that's about it. It's a bit of the same with Strand, since it's a bit of a juggle to comprehensively know what works and what doesn't. I'm main Hunter, so I logically have spammed Blame Barrage, have used Golden Gun many times, shielded with Arc Staff and Staff with Blade Dancer, voided with Void and Shadow Shot, with all the variations. I have a sort of affinity with Night Stalker, probably because of the purple. Definitely because of the purple. It's the purple. But even with that, and even with minimal experience with the other classes, I'm very aware of the game as a whole. And when actually playing the game, well, one of, and it being the main reasons why I play this game and I love it as much as I do, is the players. A good chunk of the best memories in gaming I have come from this game, at least from my latest circle of friends. I played a lot in high school with some classmates, so it was logical I gained some friends from that, and even online friends. I've had friends carry me through events, raids, Nightfall strikes, exotic mission catalysts, farms, and so much more, to the point that I have probably more time on this game than most others. And that includes Minecraft, Portal 2, and Sonic Rush on the Nintendo DS Lite. Some of the more memorable times I've had in this game include a clean run of Leviathan, no deaths, with people from Marco's style server, who probably don't exist after this date online. Gaming in early Destiny 2 with my current clan Calamity, whenever my best friend online Wayward Rider Ryu is on and wants to run around and do story, my favorite thing as I've stated before, and playing with my BDF, best Destiny friend, Knives, whom I met in the process of completing the Whisper of the Worm mission, and has ever since been carrying me through this game, telling me how to load up, what weapons to use, and say the very words I often dread hearing. Craft, can you put on div? Listen, I don't hate the gun. I don't, I promise you. Divinity is a very fun gun to use. It makes a bubble around the enemy and makes that bubble the high damage, aka crit spot, for everyone to hit. Plus it does overload champion damage standalone. But see, whilst everyone gets to do damage in their own unique way, I'm stuck being the guy that opens the door to damage. But before I get on being too negative, let me first finish thanking everyone I've ever played with in this game. From Marco's basement to Calamity Clan and all the independent friends along the way, thank you all for the best experience that the game has had and your influence in that regard. Without that first push to buy the game, I would have probably never played. But now let's crap on this game for a bit. Like many 10-year games such as Destiny and whatever other games exist that are similar, you can and more than likely will come across some things you don't like. For example, I dislike losing 10 games in a row on a simple game search because the new weapon dropped for the latest season that is just too OP, and so I have to keep queuing up until someone without the meta of the time is playing the game, and every chance, Recluse and Mountaintop, how dare you, it was just literally Mountaintop and then use Recluse to finish them off. Because of the gun, I just could never get the gun. It's sort of ironic. But yeah. The game has had a very interesting history when it comes to good and bad things. As stated before, whenever a new gun came out and if somehow broke the game to the point of it almost being unplayable, is one of them. Especially when it's basically guns that are fresh off the press. A good example in D1 was the Thorn that was in its prime. If you hit the body on the player twice and once on the head, you basically got free kills. But I can't blame the game developers for this. I mean, I can't, they made the game, but what I mean is they can be mad at them for making the guns and not being fully aware of how bad they could be. It's not until it's in the hands of the players that you can safely say you know what is going on. That is why nerfing and buffing guns is pretty common. What I can get upset about was the previous amount of times it took for them to, patch the guns. Oh my god, I'm sounding like Dano, oh my lord. Like Dado. I've been killed by so many things in all the metas that it's surprising. But if it weren't for that, the worst this franchise has done is release a second game. To help you better understand, Bungie, the creators of Destiny 1 and 2, were under the contract with Activision to make like 3 games total with 1 main expansion, 2 DLCs and another expansion, with updates as needed. They had a whole roadmap at E3 2013, I believe, when this came to be. But then they departed Activision's wrath, somehow, by unbinding their curse from them. It's since been known as the best move that Bungie ever did. However, it left traces of something else within their blood. See, they left after the Forsaken expansion, one of the best things Bungie ever did for the game. But before that, Bungie was under Activision, which meant that Activision had final say in a lot of what Bungie did. Such is the case with Destiny 2. The game as a whole brought a bunch of good things in my opinion. But if we're to listen to the community in contrast to the things that took place, you'd hear otherwise. From non-randomized roles to simplified gameplay, Destiny 2 was not what it once was. The game did some good things, such as put lore forward so that we could all understand the story, but made other things more noob-friendly, such as static rules on weapons that made each gun you got be a carbon copy of the one you already had, the lack of endgame content, even with the expansions, the overly simplified gameplay that reflected on the ability to read each subclass, and the lack of customization of characters, to name a few. It mostly felt like a step back rather than a step forwards, since in most regards it was like we could barely do anything as we could do before in Destiny 1. Heck, a lot of players stayed in Destiny 1 even after the launch purely because of the PvP Crucible differences. Of course, being smooth-brained as I am when it comes to FPS MMO games, I just took this as dumb complaints. But when Forsaken dropped and I was essentially forced to look at what weapons I was using aside from the roles we already had with the non-sunset weapons then, I realized what everyone was complaining about. It hit me like a brick wall. It was the chance of getting a weapon that was just right to each and every one of the players. For me, at least in later Destiny 2, it was any hand cannon that could shoot fast along with my first drop, and I didn't even realize it until later. Corkscrew, ricochet rounds, no distractions, and incandescent beloved from the Menagerie drop pool. See, I like the idea of sniper rifles, not so much the half defuse. But hey, I might not get all the kills, but you cannot stop me from using the sniper rifles. And if not, Dead Man's Tale. It was the versatility of getting to pick what the best weapon for you was. But, things happen. It was about being with the times and being able to recover from any updates that might have screwed you over with their latest patch to anything in the game. It was about change. But the worst thing to have ever been done, even if partly reasonably so, has to be sunsetting. This is a term in the gaming world that when a weapon is put to sleep and can no longer be used in a main story or otherwise events. In other words, the gun gets nerfed into infinity. Ever since that was introduced, guns I used to have fun with, guns I would have liked in my awakening to this game, and so many weapons that have been here and otherwise have been locked to low level activities and can't be used for other things in any manner. And plainly, that just sucks. They've improved upon it, sunsetting only things that make sense to be sunset, such as certain pinnacle weapons and otherwise. But still, it is dumb to just not let others enjoy activities, guns and otherwise, that could have been the most fun thing ever to be seen. Truly a tragedy. But even so, we can't have all the bad without the good. So let me tell you something interesting. I'll tell you why I don't love it. It's not the build crafting. It's not the exotic quests. It's not the raid runs. Kakas, please bring back the raid runs, please. I am begging you. Playing Crota's End with you that one time was literally one of the best few times that I've been felt fulfilled. Please, Kak, I can't be whatever you want me to be. I'll literally be warlock, anything you need me to be. And it's not the grind. It's none of that. That is not why I love this game. It's not, you know, none of the superficial things that people do for the game. It's the world. The people. The things people come up with that makes me want to log in. The stories that are, even if drip-fed weekly with each season or otherwise. It's the struggle to finish the missions. The moments we share between raid scenarios and post, where we all yell, "Let's go!" It's those brief moments where we are returning from whatever thing we had to do as adults, and getting that Discord ping where you look down at your phone and see, "Anyone want to do Grandmaster? I want the adept of this gun." And you smile as you have one more day to spend with those people you used to play with every day before life got hard and you had to do work to get your food. It's the people. It's the environment. It's the little things. That is why I love this game. From the very first moment that me at 14 to 15 years of age that I spent my money on a console that, even if I don't use it to this day, I still own and cherish, that I idolize, and thank it for what it did for me in gaming and a writing career. And the one game I've carried from it with me to the end of all that has been my time in this world. I love this game because it gives me one more day with the people that have been with me from the start in this gaming journey I call my own. And I cannot be more than thankful for those that have done things for me in this game when I could not. From the one gent that, because he was upset I could not get Truth because I didn't have the Forsaken DLC on PC, to Knives being very upset that I got 1K voices in this game twice, each time in a different character, and even every other lucky draw ever. To every time I've not understood mechanics and was eaten through with friends from the Marco Style server. Truly, I thank you all. You're the reason why I wake up and game. If ever I am in the mood to game. Sorry this video was not on My Name is By for Mylan Games or Evanf 1997 or eBay's Destiny 2 video. This was just meant for me to sit down with you all and just basically tell you all why this game has a slot in my heart. But if you would like for me to make such a video, be sure to give it a like if you liked it, comment down below what I should do next, and subscribe for more content on this very crappy game that I sometimes enjoy, but is also good and it's bad and it's a little bit of everything, you know. It's a game. Yeah, my little micro niche. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to jump off that cliff and reincarnate as a fallen, which my cameraman Knives will kill. I will try to reincarnate as a drake to make your life easier, and if not, I'm sorry if I respawn as Tanix. I didn't mean it like that.